no, action. Today, I'm the cameraman. We're gonna talk about the Meta Gen 2 glasses. This is not sponsored, I pay for this shit. Because I've got some love-hate relationship with this. And plus, we're taking a break from PC stuff because it's just so fucking depressing. So are these. The Be Quiet light-based PC case features a flippable design for either an upright or lay-flat orientation, cable trays and covers, and supports newer backside connector motherboards for a super clean build. Sleek and minimalistic design with integrated RGB lighting offers tasteful design cues, and radiators up to 420 millimeters are supported in the light-based 900 model. To see the full list of specs of the Be Quiet light-based 600 and 900, follow the link in the description below. So yeah, taking a break from PC to talk about the Meta Gen 2s. The sunglasses, these are the Wayfarers from Ray-Ban. I know it's very different than PC tech, but here's the thing. One of the main reasons I'm even talking about this today is actually, we gotta go back to May when we did the SoCal Tech Fair. I was doing a meet and greet table, Phil, Nick, and I were there, and we were talking, and a lot of people come through to say hi and take photos and all that. And one guy happened to come through and he said, hey, how do you feel about the Meta glasses? And I'm like, they're okay, I guess, but they're a little controversial because of privacy and this and that, whatever. And he was like, oh, I like them. And I'm like, oh, cool, what do you think of them? He's like, yeah, they're pretty comfortable. And he points, and I'm like, oh, cool, are you taking videos with that? He's like, yeah, I'm videoing you right now. And I didn't even notice the tally lamp, the white light that was going, because I don't think most of us are programmed yet to think like, the thing on a person's face is actually recording you. So this video is gonna be chopped up into a few aspects today. I bought these to actually use on my high performance driving event days. Like I just last week took the AMG for the first time to the track since I bought it. Rather than using a GoPro attached to my helmet, I wanted like true POV. These come in handy too, because I can send the footage to my driving instructor, my driving coach, and I can get feedback, even if he's not with me, because he can see everything that's happening with my hands and input and the turns and all that. They're very high quality, actually. They're 3K resolution on these. But they're obviously very controversial too, because one, it's Meta. It's Facebook, it's AI, who knows where the hell this information's going, because you upload it all to your phone from the glasses, and then Meta has access to your camera roll and all that stuff, and of course there's the privacy concerns of not only the fact that these can be recording you and you don't even know it, maybe even getting glimpses of your screen, or looking over your shoulder at your phone, or looking at you put in your PIN code or something, right? These are just unassuming for most people. But then once the information's on your phone, what's happening to it then, right? But in terms of just being a recording device, there's a lot of cool functionality, and on a tech aspect, you've got to really give credit where credit is due to shrink down the technology to fit into the arms of the Ray-Ban Wayfarers. And I'm saying Wayfarers because that's the style of the glasses. There are several different styles. Oakley's has some that look ridiculously bad. They don't look good on me or their models or anything. But they are completely unassuming. They look normal, they feel normal, they're not heavy. They just happen to have an incredible amount of tech crammed into them. There's some downsides to that tech too. So let's go ahead and start with the walk around of the sunglasses. There's no charge port on these anywhere, meaning there's nowhere you can plug in a USB-C or anything like that. They charge by making contact under the bridge for the nose with the contact pad inside the case. So the case is the charger. I did some testing. Not only did I take them to the track, I also took them to Disneyland over the weekend because my daughter was performing in the candlelight ceremony there. So I was like, what better place to try them out than Disneyland? We can see what it's like in the daytime, outside, dark, inside the rides. How does it handle low light? Spoiler alert, they're pretty good. And these are the Gen 2s, obviously, which improved over the Gen 1. But anyway, we only have technically three areas of the sunglasses that you interact with. On the left arm, there is a silver toggle switch to turn them on or off. You basically leave them on all the time. And when they're inside the case, they can still communicate with your phone to transfer footage off of the sunglasses onto your phone or to do firmware updates, etc. On the right-hand side on the top, there is a push button. Just a tap of the push button takes a photo. Holding down the push button will start a video recording. Now, video recording length is going to depend on the resolution. Right now, I have these set to 1080p. Now, they are wide angle. It is a wide angle lens, but it is not a 16:9. It is actually a vertical 4:3, which is kind of interesting that they decided to do that, considering I don't know why they couldn't have made it a standard 16:9, since we know there are sensors this small that are 16:9, but whatever, that's a choice they made for whatever reason. You can do 24 FPS, 30 FPS, or 60 FPS in 1080p. If you go up to 3K, which is what these are capable of, then it drops down to 30 FPS as the max. Now the max recording time is 5 minutes if you're in 1080p resolution. But if you step that up, then it drops down to 3 minutes. Now you can set 1 minute, 3 minute, or 5 minute. And so the 5 minute recording time is a bit disappointing because that kind of negated the reason why I bought them, which is for driving purposes, because by the time I figured that out, I started the recording, pitted out, went to hot pit, got out on track, got about 3/4 of the way through one lap before they stopped recording. And I'm not gonna fumble with them trying to start and stop the recording of them inside my helmet while I'm on track. So I was like, well, there goes that use case because the recording time is so limited. Okay, let's talk about battery life. So they advertise up to 8 hours on a single charge for the glasses themselves and up to 48 hours total, including the rechargeable capability of the case without recharging the case. So 48 plus 8 gives you a total of what, 56 hours of battery life technically? Or up to. Now that's a very mixed use case. I would assume the 8 hours of battery life you could get on this is gonna be mostly just sitting maybe standby. And maybe some notifications and stuff. In fact, on their website, they have a whole mixed use case, whatever. I can tell you when I was using them at Disneyland, when I went into Rise of the Resistance, it's about 18 to 20 minutes of an experience because the line is also part of the ride. Now, I'm not talking about like the 80-minute part before you get to the beginning of the queue, right? So from the moment you walk into the room and Rey's doing her like, we need you to join our resistance, blah, 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 right? And you got BB-8 doing her thing. The line from that moment is part of the game, right? The ride. And so you get interrogated and all that, then you get broken out and you're running away from Kylo Ren. That whole experience is anywhere between 18 and 20 minutes, depending on how long it takes to actually board the ride. Now, the clips only go a maximum of 5 minutes at a time, which is what I had it set to in 1080p 30 FPS. I already told you about the way that it breaks down to 1, 3, or 5, depending on resolution and frame rate. Now, I kept stopping and starting the recording to make sure I had the entire thing going with just probably about 3 seconds missing between each clip to the time it takes to stop and then allow me to restart recording again because it has to wrap the file. Now, when I got into the room where Rey is doing her little spiel, the glasses were at 100%. When I got off the ride, which was about 20 minutes later, checked in the app, I had 53% battery left. So I used 47% of the battery life of the frames themselves without using the case in about 20 minutes of video recording. So obviously that up to 8 hours is very dependent on what you're using them for. Now to regain that 47% battery I needed, I took them off. I put them into the case. I didn't do the transfer or anything. I just put them in the case and I watched how long it would take for them to charge. It took about 40 minutes for them to get that almost half battery life back. They talk about having AI conversations and notifications, all that crap, stuff I really don't give two shits about. I have 2 cents and 2 shits. And most of the time I don't give 2 shits about some of the things that I really talk about when it comes to 2 cents. I'm really on a tangent now. But anyway, it's interesting though, because the recording time is why I would think that they are trying to keep it, lower, right? To help with battery life and potentially overheating, because I was getting a warning, an audible warning that was playing. The AI voice was saying warning temperature, saying the temperature of the glasses were getting hot because of that continuous recording. But you can actually do up to 30 minutes of 720p streaming by streaming the video from this to your device. And then your device can do the on-device recording and or streaming to a streaming service or whatever. But it means that the sensor itself isn't the limiting factor on the record time, but battery life definitely would be. Now regarding the case, when they're charging, you can see they have a green light on them right there. They just sort of, now it's showing green because the glasses are actually 100%. If the glasses are charging, it'll glow orange. If the glasses or the case are really low on battery, it'll turn red. So it's pretty straightforward. There is a button right here on the back as well, which you can use for pairing the device, or you can just push it once and it will show you the battery indicator for the glasses inside. There's also a touch sensor on the side, which you can use to slide your finger towards the lens, which is volume up, slide it towards the back, which is volume down. You can tap them to start playing media, tap again to stop playing media, like double tap to fast forward. All the normal like gesture stuff you would see on any sort of touch sensor when it comes to like your audio and stuff. Now, there is a whole AI suite associated with these. And I think it's all gimmicky and stupid. I don't believe that these should replace the device in your pocket. I don't. Because, first of all, these are sunglasses. I'm not gonna be wearing them indoors unless I'm recording in this instance, and I made the choice to get sunglasses and not transitions or clear lenses because of the fact that I wanted to use them outdoors as the POV for driving, which didn't work out because I didn't realize there was a 5-minute recording limit. And when I went out, they were set to 3 minutes because I didn't realize that I had to manually go in and set it to 5. In fact, I didn't realize there was even a recording limit. It was one of those, oh, those are cool, I'll order them, pay $450, whatever they were, and then realized they didn't really work for the use case I wanted them for. But they still have some uses. We're gonna use them around here, like if I'm trying to do POV recording of something that I wanna show you guys, with my hands or whatever. That would just be a neat angle. It's not the first time tech YouTubers have tried to use it, like when it comes to maybe building a computer or something, but I wanna try it out. But now that makes it kind of sucky that I had the sunglasses and not the transitions, because indoors they would be clear. Now the reason why I didn't get transitions is because outdoors, they don't transition if you're behind UV tint, because the UV tint blocks the UV light from the sun, and that is what makes transitions transition. It's the UV reaction to them. So in the car, they don't turn into transitions because I have UV tint all around my car. Now, I don't wear corrective lenses. I used to, but turns out the optic nerve issue I have with my eyes that's causing some of my blurry vision has nothing to do with my lenses of my eyes, so glasses don't fix that. So there's no point in me wearing, getting RX lenses, which you can get. So there's options and there's choices, but now when I do it, I'm just gonna look stupid by wearing sunglasses indoors now. I guess technically I could get the lenses replaced because those are just regular lenses. These aren't the ones that project an image out on the new, I think Gen 3 is what they call them, where they can project an image out on the display or on the lens, but those are big fat lenses and I didn't want that. I don't care about the AI aspect of these. I think it's super gimmicky. I don't need Meta to give me reminders. I don't need Meta to start taking notes and stuff for me while I'm wearing these. I don't need any of that crap. If you want to use that crap, just use your phone. In fact, it's all over the website that these are about leave your phone in your pocket and let Meta do it for you. That's just Facebook marketing gimmicks, right? There is one cool thing about this though, and I think your phone can probably do it with certain apps, but there is one cool thing actually there's two cool things about this. First of all, one, they do real-time translation. So if you're somewhere where someone's speaking to you in a foreign language and they tell you to, if possible, be facing the person, because I'm wondering if they're using AI to also help with lip reading or something, but it will listen to the language and live translate it to you via the speakers that point down towards your ears. There's two small holes underneath the frames, which is where the audio comes out of. So it's a double-edged sword. So if you're in a loud environment, you can't really hear the call too well. If you're in a quiet environment, you can hear the call and so can other people. The other thing too is these do also have the Be My Eyes function. So where if a person is visually impaired, they can put these on and a live assistant can actually talk to you through them and help you with what you're seeing or what's in front of you. I think it's a neat function. Be My Eyes exists in many different forms. It's not just through these sunglasses. I think those are neat for like handicap assistance, especially for visually impaired. Anyway, that's about it for when it comes to the functionality of them. I personally don't believe in any of the AI stuff for these at all. That is, obviously these bring up a whole nother discussion about security / privacy, right? Because like I started in this video, I was being recorded by these and I didn't even realize it. And I've probably been recorded by these all over the place. In fact, I wasn't the only one wearing these at the track day. There was another person there that had them. In fact, the guy that was coordinating the entire event, he was just using them as sunglasses. I never saw the tally lamp going, which is the white light that will blink right here to tell you they're recording, like you saw earlier in this video. But I'll be honest, I'm not trained to look for that. If I'm having a conversation with someone, I might notice it, but you can go into the settings and actually reduce the brightness of that. You have three brightnesses, like a low, medium, high on the brightness. But I think they're trying hard to make sure that it's obvious that they're recording. But they made it white, so it's less intrusive. A blinking red light would be, I think, even more obvious that, hey, I'm recording, because a red blinking light or a red light is the universal language of recording. Anyway, let's go ahead and now talk about what I do think is neat about them, which is the tiny tech that they have crammed into this. There is no battery extension for this, meaning there's no plug anywhere where you could plug in a cable and maybe have a battery pack to give you a longer battery life. So you're gonna have to have the case with you and use the charger port that's built into it, which just touches the bottom side of the bridge of the nose, and the battery is this part right here. This case so far doesn't seem to take very long to charge. It's not a very big battery. I can't find any spec information regarding the actual size of the batteries. So when it comes to images, it can take a 3024 pixel by 4032 pixel or 12 megapixel. And the video can go up to 2203 by 2938 at 30 FPS. And like I said, it can obviously do 1080p as well. For connectivity, it's Bluetooth 5.3, it's Wi-Fi 6E, and it requires iOS 14.4, Android 10 at a minimum. Now, when it comes to getting the footage and the photos and stuff off of this, it connects to your phone via Bluetooth for any of the audio, playback of audio, controlling the volume and all that stuff is all Bluetooth. However, when you go to transfer footage and or photos off of this, it has its own Wi-Fi 6E hotspot that turns on that you have to connect to on your device because it's much faster to transfer that information over Wi-Fi than it is via Bluetooth. I recommend if you're moving large files, because I had a lot of videos from throughout the day at Disneyland, to have them inside the case so that they're on the charger, because it starts to burn the battery pretty quick once it turns on the Wi-Fi and is transferring over those files. Now, if you are at home or here in the office or whatever, and you have a Wi-Fi network that these can connect to, they'll connect to the Wi-Fi network and then your phone won't have to disconnect from the network, and then it has saved locations so that it automatically will connect to those networks rather than your phone having to turn it on. But when I was at Disneyland and I was transferring files, I had to connect to the Wi-Fi on these. And then doing so disconnects the data on the phone, because the LTE and the 5G is like, hey, we're on Wi-Fi, but it doesn't see the internet on that Wi-Fi. So during that time of that transfer, which was taking up to like 10 minutes at times, the phone has no connectivity. So they're trade-offs of having that type of connection. Okay, so here's the app. You can see right now the sunglasses show 100% because the glasses are out of the case. But if I put the glasses back into the case, you'll see the case will show up. Boom, there it is, the case is at 90%. Now, if we wanna change settings on the camera, you hit the little gear on the top right, and this is where we can have updates. Everything's up to date right now. Our general information, force restart, unpair glasses, factory reset if you were gonna sell them or something like that. Wi-Fi shows the different Wi-Fi connections it's remembered. I'm not gonna click on that because I don't want you guys to see that for obvious reasons. There's the Meta AI experiences. So you can use like Hey Meta and language and voice. Here's the funny thing. You have different voice actors in here that are AI. So we have a John Cena voice.
Here's one of the voices you can choose.
Aquafina AI voice.
Here's one of the voices you can choose. You can always change it later in settings.
You can also speed up the speaking rate. Here's 1.75.
Here's one of the voices you can choose. You can always change it later in settings.
Communication here. So this is where you can set apps that this can become the default communication device. You can see I have everything off. Nothing's connected to Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp, or phone. If we go down here to app connections, so you can see it integrates with Amazon, Apple Health, Apple Music, Audible, Garmin, iHeart, Shazam, Spotify, and Strava. Those are the apps I have installed. So obviously there's more apps that it can communicate with. So video settings, this is where you can see I'm set to full HD right now at 30 FPS. We can also do 60 FPS or high resolution 30 FPS. So at 1080p 30, I can have 1, 3, or 5 minutes. If I set that to 1080p 60, now it says as a warning on the bottom, your max record length is 3 minutes. And then high resolution 3K 30 FPS, our max resolution, our recording time is also 3 minutes. So that's one of the reasons why I left it at 1080p 30 for the 5-minute recording. There we go. So now we're set back to 5 minutes. But it says 5 minutes is the default, but you'll notice when I switch from 1080p 60 or 3K 30 back to 1080p, it went to 3 minutes, not 5, even though it says 5 is default. So that's how I got stuck with a 3-minute clip and not a 5-minute clip at the track, because I was messing around with the settings and didn't realize it went back to 3 minutes, even though it says 5 is default. Moving on, audio recordings here, you can see auto pause and adaptive volume. Auto pause is when you take the glasses off, it'll stop the video or stop the recording or whatever, or not the recording, but the audio playback. You can turn that off if you want. And then adaptive volume is supposed to obviously turn itself up and down based on loud environments, but they're not very loud to begin with, so I would just leave them up probably full all the time. I did set myself up here for early access because I'm hoping someday we'll see longer video recording clips. If I was able to do about 20 minutes worth of Rise of the Resistance before I got an overheat warning, I think we could get 10-minute recordings on here and it would be fine. based on the fact that I still had over 50% battery life left after just constantly letting them record. So I would really hope that we could see more of that. But as you can see down here, there's the Be My Eyes, which is a really neat function. You can call a volunteer. It's all a volunteer-based organization, but the app is fairly basic. Find your next pair. See, these are what some of the more stupid glasses look like. And if I already have a pair, why do I need to find my next pair? Anyway, you can see down here in the gallery, these are some of the videos and such that I already took. You can see some of the photos. It's funny, it's technically, I guess it's a 1 second video. So here's the picture I took of Phil right there. But you guys will see all this in full res, obviously, as we get the video going. And then it has like a social media aspect to it, I guess, in a way, but it's all AI slop. Every video I have basically seen on here, like even though this grandma looks very real, sitting here floating in her little floaty, Phil, every video I have seen so far on this whole their whole AI aspect, it's just AI slop. Like now we got a dog on the top of Mount Everest. Like why is this here? Like why is this built in? I don't know, whatever. So let's go and talk about video quality on these. So I took them to the racetrack, like I said. I only took one clip because once I realized that the recordings were not gonna be sufficient in length, I just used them for that one session, and then they were just sunglasses for me, honestly, that session. And then I have a tinted visor, so the rest of the day I just didn't wear them at all. I just used visor down. But the quality is actually really good. For such a small sensor, it does pretty well with handling the difference in brightness with outside of the vehicle versus inside of the vehicle. And this was a sunny day, so it was pretty bright outside. I don't have any window tint on this car that you're seeing this footage of. So it handled it pretty well. You can see the street or the track, you can see the curbs, you can see all of that. Enough data is there in the highlights to be able to say, hey, I can tell everything that's happening. It's not like we just look like we're in the inside of a car and a big bright white light is flashing or just blinding you through the windshield. So it was actually usable for that. The audio is actually pretty good too. You can hear me very clearly. In fact, you can hear my watch even give me the emergency warning, because there was one turn where I had my hand under like this, and with my wrist bent, it was pushing the emergency button. So you can hear that very clearly in that recording as well.
Gotta get some heat in the tires.
Obviously it picks up voice very well, although it's not a very fair assessment because I had a helmet on, a full face helmet, so my voice is kind of just bouncing back towards the sunglasses.
You're not saying anything?
No.
It's like, it's Jay, it's the Stig.
Not the Stig. Good try though.
Okay, I'm the Stug.
But it's very easy to hear with these. Let's go ahead and go forward to Disneyland now.
I'm not trying to bump, I'm just trying to turn the fucking car.
Just walking around outside. Let's just go ahead and play some of these clips right now when it comes to normal daylight, so you can hear the audio quality, the ambient sounds, and just, walking around. But then I really wanted to see how well they do in low light. So I headed over to Rise of the Resistance. You can see it's actually pretty damn good. So is the audio quality. I'm shocked at how good the audio is on these.
Resistance sympathizers, you have all been identified as enemies of the First Order. Look down at your feet. The color you are assigned is vital to your interrogation. I suggest you remember it.
Now you'll notice in some of the really dark scenes, there is a bit of a ghosting / blurring effect, and that's just gonna happen. I mean, it only has so much dynamic range, it only has so much ISO adjustability in them, that it's all automatic, but I think it does a pretty dang good job given how small the sensor is and how dark the environment is. If anyone has ever been on that ride knows that is a very dark ride. One of the reasons for that is one of the best ways to mask imperfections in scenery and special effects and stuff is make it dark. But the ways they do that in a lot of movies and stuff too is motion blur. But you can't really do that in real life the same way. So you just make it dark, right? When it comes to other rides that are dark, like Indiana Jones, I used them on there because I wanted to see how well it did with a lot of the motion and stuff too, because Rise of the Resistance is pretty smooth. You're on this like transport device, but Indiana Jones is basically a backbreaker. So I was curious how it would do there, and there it struggled quite a bit. I'm sure you're gonna notice there's a lot of noise in this footage. There's a lot of blurring as it's trying to keep up. Same thing as I'm walking in the queue in the line, going from light to dark. It seems to transition pretty well. But again, I can't really knock its quality given the really dark environment. But if you're outside walking around and there's any sort of natural ambient sunlight, even low light like sunset time, it does really well. As long as you're not dealing with really dark scenes or dark environments, they're pretty good. But let me give you just kind of a quick demo of the audio. Now, they're very tinny, they're very thin. There's no, the hole is like probably a 0.5 millimeter big at that. It's just designed to give you some audio, but and it's probably surprising considering I'm considered like the water cooler. The volume is all the way up. I can pause, but I don't have a lot. With that, just it's not the most responsive, but if I touch again, it'll play. Water cooling is playing around. I can turn them down. I can turn them up. So when you take them off, they auto stop playing because it detects there's no head in there, but you can make them play again. But here's, so if the environment's quiet enough, you're not gonna have a private conversation. Just want to point that out. But it is kind of impressive though, how clear these speakers are, considering the hole the sound is coming out of. Let's talk about the privacy aspect of these, because clearly these are a concern. Especially if you're wearing like RX lenses, and you have the clear frames and you're just wearing them as like regular regular seeing glasses, which thick frames are back so they wouldn't seem all that weird. Just walking by and looking at someone's screen. Okay, they're still recording. So I wanted to see if I could take them off while they're still recording. So here's what we'll do. Excuse me, do you know how to get to like the train station? I need to get to the train station. Whether you're recording or taking a photo. Just walking into a place like say a public restroom. Places where recording is not allowed. Locker rooms at the gym. These are a serious privacy concern. Not just from a data privacy aspect, but a personal privacy aspect. We have finally gotten to a point to where in like locker rooms and stuff in gyms, cell phones out is like a no. It's a no-no. Like you're gonna get called out for it. Although we're in a weird time now where phones are out all over the gym, because people are constantly recording their workouts as if the world is so interested in their workouts. But I digress. We finally got to a point to where it is like known, put your fucking phone away when you're in the bathroom, okay? When you're on the toilet, that's one thing. When you're walking around, don't be like, because here's the thing. If I'm like this on my phone in public, you're not worried about that because you know front-facing camera's pointing up, back camera's pointing towards the ground. But if I was walking around like this is kind of the universal language of I'm filming, right? So you know that person is filming. You can immediately be like, hey, if you're in public, you can't really say anything about it. It's just filming in public space is allowed, at least here in the US. But if you're in like the bathroom or something like that, bro, put your phone away or I'm literally gonna bash your teeth in, right? People aren't accustomed to this being recording. So there was a couple times I started to walk towards the bathroom and I did the whole like Grandpa Simpson like oh crap because I didn't want to be accused of that. And then for a minute I was like, well, I can just, well, no, because you can still see the lenses. Whether they record with the arm shut or not, they do stop recording when you close the arm. It's just the perception of could you be recording, and I didn't want any of that. So I had to like put myself into this whole different mindset of what I do with my sunglasses, because I just hang them on my collar when I'm not using them. So I got really into the habit of when I wasn't using them, putting them back in the case. But then when they're in the case, I became less likely to want to take them out. So I started doing this a lot throughout the day. So it's just, they're neat. I think as sunglasses, they're probably a little less useful for me than they would have been if they were clear lenses for the environment I want to use them, because I'm going to use them here. I'm going to use them for actually recording certain types of POV content for you guys here. But man, do they definitely cross the line at times when it comes to privacy. Now, when you transfer that footage over to your phone, and you have the Meta app. Obviously, the Meta app wants and needs access to like camera roll and all that stuff. And it seems like no matter what these companies say in their EULAs, and we know Facebook has a history of selling your information, selling your photos, listening. This is another listening device. We all know you're all gonna start getting ads for these now, simply because your devices, you're hearing me say them. I've said the Meta glasses more than once in this video, and now your assistant devices, your phones. I love how so many people are like, I will never put an AI assistant in my house. It's always listening as they're typing that on their cell phone, which is literally with them everywhere they go. The double standards and the non-understanding is so funny when it comes to the modern world. But that's obviously the next level of listening device. So also too, there's one other thing I really hate is I keep constantly accidentally taking photos and starting videos because I grab my glasses here and put them on, and that is where the button is. I wish the button were like farther back or something. That's more intentional because that's exactly where the button is to stop recording and taking a photo, and I'm always doing this. Watch. I just took a photo of Phil. Anyway, something different. I just was curious as to how the audience would respond to this because I would love to hear your guys' most passionate critique on these. I think these are definitely crossing a boundary in many areas regarding privacy. I think that the light needs to be a bit more intentional on letting people know that there's something happening. I know it's just a breathing white light. But the thing is, I feel like that really blends in a busy environment. I think they need to make like a big red like visor all the way across the glasses, make it super freaking obvious that the person is recording. But then people wouldn't buy them. So of course they're kind of doing the minimum amount of flair to let people know that you're recording. All right, well, there we go. I'm curious as to how you guys feel about these. I think they have from a tech aspect, I am very impressed with the size of the technology that's in here to be that shrunk. This is like, if you had this in like the 90s, this was like spy game level shit. Like spies had this stuff back then and it didn't even look this good or this blend in, right? This is spy gear for all intents and purposes. And it's now in the hands of general consumers. And I think that these have probably already been used for no good and probably very interesting POV videos in other genres. But I digress. I'm gonna try and use them creatively for you guys here. Not in that way. Just wanna point that out. Jay, why are they delivering a black leather couch?